Next week's Money in the Bank promises to be one of the top shows of the year, primarily because Triple H is pushing such new and exciting stars, and a lot of big names are coming up on the way. Beware spoilers, because today we are talking about who is going to be winning the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have a lot of information, some of it backstage, some of it exclusive, and a lot of which you won't find anywhere else. So beware that this may ruin a little bit of the enjoyment if you're not looking to find out who are the favourites and who is the likely winner. I'm going to rank all 6 competitors in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match from the lowest chance to win to the highest chance to win. Some of them I think will be surprising because I've changed my pick on this one based on the information that's coming out from the WWE. Unfortunately, starting in 6th position, I have Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega's had a decent push recently as part of the LWO that's really helped her grow into, I feel, her wrestling potential. She hasn't wrestled all that much recently on WWE TV, so this has been a great opportunity for her. That said, I think she's mostly in there because she's a reliable hand. She can be relied upon to take a big bump and to throw her body around for the entertainment of others. Zelina Vega does not have active storylines for any championships, so she has recently come off a match with Rhea Ripley, so there is an outside chance, and I feel that even as the lowest chance, she is more likely than a lot of people in the men's match to pick up a win. 5th place, I have Zoey Stark. She has an increase on Zelina Vega on the basis that while she has an active storyline with Becky Lynch, we could potentially see a briefcase there because Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley is something on the agenda for the WWE going forwards. There's a bit backstage news for you. Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley is considered the draw feud in the women's division on Raw at the moment, and we will eventually be getting to that, but Trish Stratus and Zoey Stark are in the way right now. So while Zoey Stark is very fresh, very unlikely to win any championships and very unlikely to win this briefcase, it may just be a way to stall the inevitable championship win of Becky Lynch. Similarly, 4th, I have Trish Stratus for extremely similar reasons. Trish Stratus is not reliably there. I think that's the main difference here, with the idea being, from what I can tell, SummerSlam will be her last match in the company for a while. She's done essentially a 6-month stint with the company, starting out just before WrestleMania and working with Becky Lynch to help put Becky Lynch over, even though Becky Lynch really, to me at least, is more over than Trish Stratus was, just on the basis of being the man character and how global that became in a social media world. Trish Stratus once again may win this briefcase to essentially keep it away from Becky and trigger off the storyline there, but I do not personally see this one happening. Essentially, there is a very clear line between the top 3 and the bottom 3. Trish Stratus, the top of the bottom for me. 3rd is Bayley. Now, this does really work around Bianca Belair, so this is where we move to the SmackDown side of things. Bianca Belair has been the champion for a very long time, more than a year before losing it recently to Asuka. Asuka is a heel, and this is important going forwards because Bayley is a heel, and Bayley winning the briefcase will not result in a long-term feud between Asuka and Bayley. In fact, it has a lot more to do with Bianca Belair and the potential for Bianca Belair to be winning the championship back, though it is also possible that Bianca Belair versus Charlotte may result in a heel turn for Bianca Belair as she loses out on her opportunity to regain the championship from Asuka. Bayley is in a very strong position primarily because of damage control. Dakota Kai is currently out injured but will be returning eventually. Iyo Sky, however, is getting a face push in a heel faction. This creates some conflict and it creates some controversy. You see, Asuka versus Iyo Sky is on the agenda. I reported that a few weeks ago, and we're getting lots of reports from Peter Insider, for example, that Iyo Sky is in for a big push. Bayley winning the briefcase allows Iyo Sky's slow face turn to eventually get away from Bayley, particularly if we are seeing at SummerSlam an Iyo Sky versus Asuka match in which Bayley cashes in to pin Iyo Sky. Now, Bayley would undoubtedly try and argue that it's for the good of damage control, but I do feel Iyo Sky is not going to entirely believe that. Bayley at the moment is working backstage to put people over, primarily people such as Iyo Sky and Dakota Kai. So Bayley is focused on women other than herself right now. This briefcase win certainly would be a way of putting her over, and we can say she doesn't need it, but it would not be for her. So I do not think it's an impossibility that Bayley wins the briefcase, potentially even winning the championship from Asuka as a way to, end result, get Iyo Sky versus Bayley at WrestleMania. Second, which will give away the winner for me, so be aware, one last chance, spoiler warning. Becky Lynch is second. Now, as I've mentioned, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley is considered the draw feud for WWE Raw, and Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch is something that both of them have been very eager to do for a long time. This would allow Becky Lynch to get straight back into that competition. That said, a face winning the briefcase is a rarity because a briefcase win is considered a cheap way to win a championship, not very much Becky Lynch's style. With Becky Lynch in mind, we know we're eventually going to get to Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley because there aren't really any other top contenders for Rhea Ripley. In fact, at the moment, there is a real lack of top-level talent on WWE Raw, particularly in the absence of Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, who've left, Naomi also left, and at the moment, Alexa Bliss, who's currently pregnant. Now, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler do play into this. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, I both think, will get opportunities against Rhea Ripley as well. Ronda Rousey doesn't seem to want to wrestle Rhea Ripley, but more on that and spoiler warning tomorrow. But when it comes to Becky Lynch, we know the feud is coming. We know the match will be good. The briefcase isn't necessary, but certainly I think Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus at SummerSlam for the briefcase, before Becky Lynch announces that she's challenging Rhea Ripley, could be a lot of fun. Now, in case that hasn't given the whole game away, the number one pick and the favourite, and the one I believe will be winning Money in the Bank, is Iyo Sky. Now, currently, Iyo Sky is a heel, but the storyline with Bayley can play out very similarly regardless of who has the briefcase. We could see a challenge between Iyo Sky and Asuka for SummerSlam, which Bayley still gets involved with and costs Iyo the match. This would then lead to a formal face turn and Iyo Sky versus Bayley in the build-up to a Royal Rumble win for Iyo Sky and a rematch at WrestleMania. There's a lot of possibilities here. I don't necessarily think she would cash in the briefcase successfully, but I do still think she'd be champion before the end of the season ender, of course, being WrestleMania. Iyo Sky has the highest upside right now in the Raw Women's division. Rhea Ripley, of course, is already at the top of the mountain on Raw. Iyo Sky is the SmackDown Women's division, and Asuka is at the top of the pile on SmackDown. Iyo Sky is the developing talent, much like Liv Morgan is a developing talent on Raw. Iyo Sky will be heading to the top of the ladder. The question, of course, is how other people play into this. Iyo Sky versus a heel Bianca Belair en route to a rematch of Asuka could be a lot of fun, but Iyo Sky versus Charlotte is certainly something I would consider likely in the days to come. Tomorrow will be the men's Money in the Bank spoilers, so please do check that out as well, and I'll see you there.